The Bengals really seem to love their Minnesota Viking corners. Mackensie Alexander has signed with the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's kind of fascinating because before free agency, I kind of felt like, Vikings, Bengals, their defenses, very similar in terms of scheme. It makes a lot of sense if these two teams are looking at each other's players and seeing if they can fit any into their scheme. And of course, now the Bengals have signed two corners. They signed Trey Waynes earlier in free agency, and now they've signed Mackensie Alexander. Alexander ranked 48th from PFF at the corner position, a pretty good grade. That would be in a mid-tier number 2 corner type of grade for Alexander. What he brings to the table for me has always been speed. 5'10", 192. He can run fast, and he could cover those speedy receivers. He was a former second-round pick in the 2016 draft. Taking a look at some of his statistics, 38 tackles and 5 passes defense. He also had 1 interception, played 13 games this year and started 4. So Alexander and Waynes, these two are going to add to the secondary of the Bengals. Advanced stats-wise, he's 26 years old, going on 27, 65.5 completion percentage, 38 completions on 58 targets, and a passer rating allowed of 84. Last season, passer rating allowed of 83.8 and completion percentage of 66. So over the last 2 years, his stats have been very comparable and basically the same, replicas of each other. 66 completion percentage, 65.5. 83.8, 84.3. Pretty much the same. He's a good player. He's not a great corner, but what I like about him is that speed, that ability to handle those faster receivers, and he would be a guy that you could match up with like Odell, and he wouldn't be like blown by him. He would be able to run with him down the field, and it wouldn't be too much of an issue there. When taking a look at his percentage of snaps played for Minnesota, 33% in 2017, went huge uptick to 54% last year in 2018, and then back down a little bit to 49%, and that's probably because of the games, but 534 snaps, and he was one of the more consistent corners on the Vikings this year. They had a lot of trouble at corner. Xavier Rhodes was really bad, and really it was Waynes and Alexander who were their 2 go-to guys, and 2 of their top 3 corners. So the Bengals get their 2 best corners from last season from the Vikings. So we'll see if they can replicate and do even better within this Bengals defense. But I actually really like how the Bengals have started to build their corner position. I think they have a good group, a pretty young group in the prime of their career. Of course, you have William Jackson, you have Trey Waynes, you still have Kirkpatrick. We'll see what they do there with him. And now you've brought on Mackensie Alexander. I like this corner group. I think it's only getting better, and it's very athletic and promising. A lot of potential here. So Mackensie Alexander to the Cincinnati Bengals. What am I adding that to? I forget. Xavier Su'a Filo from the Dallas Cowboys has signed with the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals have upgraded their offensive line at the guard position. Guard position has been a position of, a little worry over the past couple of years for Cincinnati. Their offensive line in general has been pretty weak. Tackle, guard, center, whatever it may be. They have tried really hard to draft players at all of those positions, upgrade all of those positions, and I think what they have here is not necessarily a starter, but a depth guard. I don't want to say that he will actually end up being the starter because when you look at their line, they have a lot of young players that they want to let come in and play a lot of their snaps. First-round picks. Jonah Williams is expected to be back into the fold. Billy Price is still a first-round pick for them, and those are their 2 starting guards. They also have Michael Jordan, who played a lot of snaps for them last year, a 4th-round pick in 2019. Played a lot of snaps in place for Jonah Williams. So the question remains, is this just a depth signing, or will he actually compete for the starting position? Because when you look at it, Billy Price did not play well last year. When you look at the PFF grades, Billy Price ranked 79th, only had a 41 grade. And Su'a Filo ranked a lot higher than that with a 60 grade. And actually, as a pass protector, was pretty good. He was actually amongst the top 20 in the league at the guard position, playing 307 snaps for the Cowboys last year as a replacement guard for those who were injured. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do here. But I wouldn't be surprised with the contract given to him if he was able to compete for that starting job. If he does outplay Billy Price, he might actually get that job at left guard. Crazier things have happened. I'm just pointing it out there. We'll have to see what happens. But this is just a depth signing to shore up the offensive line and give a little bit of extra experience to the offensive line, and an offensive line that really needs the depth. So Su'a Filo to the Cincinnati Bengals. Nothing too sexy here, nothing too special here, but a player that could potentially, under the radar, have an impact on this team.